Hi, good morning. My name is Nathan Goodrich, one of the Operations Section Chiefs for PNW Team 3, here to give you your morning update on the Camp Creek fire. I want to start off with a shout out to the Great Basin Team 1 that we transitioned with last night at 2000. Got a good download of information from those folks, and going to continue on with the great plan that they created over the last couple of weeks here on the Camp Creek fire. I want to talk a little bit about a concept that we utilize in fire management called the PACE concept: primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency. So what the folks have been doing out on the ground is working on the primary line for the incident, and that has continued to be the 12 road to some masticated line. This piece of line is open. 14 road is the southern part of our primary line, and that'll come into play when I go through some of the operations for today. So I'll start up in Division Alpha, and for folks that have been following for the last couple of weeks, there's been a few slight changes to what the map looks like. There were some branches in place. Those have been taken down, and so there's just three remaining divisions: Alpha, Kilo, and Papa. There's also been a contingency group, and a group is able to move around the fire and go wherever they're needed, where a division is more geographically based. And so there's no longer groups. Those folks are working within the divisions, and that again will come into play when I kind of walk around the map. So here in Division Alpha, this is the northwest side of the fire. And the crews have been working real hard in this area here. This is going to be referred to as the top part of our catcher's mitt, if you will. So working here where this is black along this 12 road, the crews have been working real hard in there. Initially doing a lot of prep work, a lot of limbing and thinning and brushing out of the fuels in that area, and then ultimately burn that area out to get fire right against the road. So that area here is shown in black. That's very, very contained, and again, that's kind of the top part of our catcher's mitt to protect the values at risk off here to the west, including the headworks facility and the structures around that facility. That was the main emphasis for that primary line here on the northwest side. Continuing up through the rest of Division Alpha, crews are continuing to work along the 12 road here. That's starting to look really good. I assume this is going to be turned black here in the next day or so as far as containment. And off on the 1211 road, there continues to be some contingency work going on. So that would be our alternate line if this primary line does not hold. And I don't feel like that's going to come into play, but that would be our alternate line. As you work up towards the division break there with the Division Kilo, there's a constructed line that was constructed by hand line or by hand resources and machines to put this line in here out to the breaks of Cedar Creek, and that's looking really good. They got that plumbed and they're mopping up on that line today. As you continue out in through Kilo, the main primary line goes all the way out here and comes back down around here towards into Division Papa. So that's the primary line, and so that's all in place. And what we're looking at doing in Kilo and the top of Papa here is doing what we call an inverted pace. So once we get our primary line in and we're happy with that, we look at opportunities to go in a little bit tighter, and so that would be an inverted pace. And so what they're working on over the next couple of days is seeing if we can get in and go a little bit tighter on this line, and so that would turn our primary line into an alternate. So we ultimately ended up potentially having some hand line on this eastern edge and turning that into our primary line. Again, this work's been done on the main road, and a little bit more contingency work's going up on the 1211 and the 12 road. The area around Division Kilo, this is the area that there isn't any line on right now. This is very, very steep, very heavily wooded, lots of dead and down fuels on the ground. Makes it real hard for the resources to get in there and put hand line in there. There's a few places where they're starting to poke in there and look around for some opportunities to put some hand line in there, but again, we're pretty much staying out of here. Some risk-based decisions for now until we can figure out if we're going to go in there or not. So that at this point is an uncontained piece of the incident. Down into Division Papa, this masticated road here is serving as a potential check line in Papa, back to our primary line here along the 14 road in Division Papa as well. That's all been prepped and cleaned up and ready for any kind of burning if we get to that point. Moving back to the west here, you can see where the line has been turned black, but it's not on the main road. And so that's a little bit of that inverted pace that we were talking about. There wasn't going to be a good opportunity to bring the fire up to the road or from the road down to the fire's edge along the 14 road, just given the weather conditions and some of the fuel types that are in there. So again, they went a little bit tighter, found an opportunity to go right along the fire's edge and do a direct line. It's not what we normally do with the fire being down below the road and paralleling the road, a good defensible boundary with hand line, but that's what we did in this case. And so this has been plumbed with hose and hand line all the way along the fire's edge to this point. And again, that's looking really good, hence the reason why we turned it black as far as containment. And that's that southwest part of that catcher's mitt that we've been kind of talking about. And that protects a lot of the values at risk outside of the bull run, industrial private land, just general private land, a lot of the wildland urban interface properties that are out throughout to the southwest here, and ultimately, down into the Highway 26 corridor is the rationale for that primary line and that catcher's mitt there on the southwest side. As I mentioned, there's a little bit more contingency work going on down here along the 14 road and the 1401, and that's been rolled into that Division Papa. And the biomass removal of that operation is continuing for the next couple of days, and that'll be brought out of the watershed and off the public land to a holding site there. Another rationale for our primary line and the effort going in here on this south end is the Brightwood communication site. That's another high value at risk to the south there. So overall, not a whole lot of changes as far as the overall operations that's been continuing for the last couple of weeks. Mopping up and securing those areas where they can get into, continuing to do some direct line where possible, and still a little bit of contingency work going on. We don't have any night shift as there's not needed, and we're assisting the local unit with initial attack if there's any kind of new incidents that pop up, so we have folks ready to go for that. So that's your morning briefing for the day.